If you're a snow lover, this December so far has been pretty disappointing. So far, for the amount of snow that we've seen, we've only had just over an inch in Portland when we're supposed to be at about 10 inches. Pretty similar situation for Bangor, only about 2.5 inches, still supposed to have 10, but the good news is that we do have some snowfall on the way. It'll also help us with a bit of our deficit that we've seen so far this season. Portland only at 7 inches so far for the season, where we should be at about 27. Bangor at 18 so far, where they should be at 29. Caribou a little bit better at 33, but they should be over 50 inches of snow at this point. Now, this system isn't going to help us completely reverse that deficit, but a little bit is definitely better than nothing. So originally this system, the European model, was a bit on an island, but usually we like that. We're big fans of the European model here at CENTER Maine, and it had a bit of a smaller system, but unfortunately this time the king was overthrown and it eventually caved to the other models, bringing in a stronger nor'easter. So the European model, you can see here that center of low pressure is pretty much offshore, which means the rain-snow line isn't going to be an issue here. And the GFS looks pretty similar, but it does have that excess of heaviest snowfall actually off the coast, so it might see a little bit of less snowfall overall there. But the good news here is that the two models that we're looking at and comparing have a lot of similarities. But there are two factors that are really going to help us determine how much snowfall we would see. And the first one of those is the dew point temperature. So right before that snow kind of is about to start, this is Sunday at 7 p.m., so the snow will kind of just be starting around that point in some areas of southern and western Maine. The dew point temperatures are largely in the teens, low 20s, and even single digits. That means we have some fairly dry air to contend with, and sometimes that means it can eat up some of that snowfall. And if the snowfall gets eaten up before it hits the ground, it isn't measured and therefore it doesn't count in terms of how much snowfall we actually see. But it's also going to be very cold when the snow comes in. So if we look at 1 inch of water, how does that compare with how much snow you would see in different temperatures? If you're at temperatures that are a little bit warmer, usually it's a lot of more wet snow versus a normal 10 to 1 range where you would typically see with temperatures just below freezing, you get a little bit more snow. But here it's going to be pretty cold, which means we end up with a lot of dry, very fluffy snow. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to get 10 inches of snow here, but what I'm trying to say is that it means 1 inch of water can really go a long way when temperatures are really cold, and that's something that we're going to be seeing with this system here. So overall, what are we looking at? We're going to start seeing those areas of snow showers move into areas of southern New Hampshire and southern Maine right around dinner time. And we're going to see fairly heavy snow at times, but like I mentioned, that rain-snow line is going to be very far offshore in the Atlantic Ocean, so we're not worried about mixed precipitation here. So we're going to see that fairly heavy snow move through areas of the state. This is right around Sunday at 10 p.m. and it's going to overspread the state completely by around midnight. We're going to see fairly moderate to even heavy snow as it moves through, mainly overnight Sunday into early Monday morning. By the time we get to early Monday, we're going to start to see some shower activity kind of breaking up a little bit, especially in areas of western Maine. But the snow showers are going to hang out up in northern and eastern Maine for the longest. The good news here, though, is it looks like most of that precip will be completely cleared out by the time we get to the morning commute on Monday. However, it'll depend on kind of how well the roads are plowed and treated. But the good news is that the precipitation will be mostly over by that point. And then behind this system, we actually end up with a lot of sunshine, but it starts to get very cold very fast. So what are we looking at in terms of snowfall totals? So we've upped the snowfall in comparison to yesterday. So along the coastline is where we're going to see the most snow here, looking at that 4 to 8 inch range. Locally higher amounts in areas of down east Maine where that system will hang out the longest. Some areas inland kind of here seeing 2 to 4, and then areas the farthest away from the coastline will get the least amount of snow, looking about 1 to 2 inches up there. So it's not really going to help to completely reverse that snowfall deficit that we've seen this season and this month especially, but if you are a snow lover, it's definitely better than nothing. And then behind this system, I mentioned we have a bit of an Arctic blast coming in. Things are going to get extremely cold, especially Monday through Wednesday. Those are our high temperatures in the teens there, which means our overnight low temperatures could be in the single digits and below zero. So we're going to keep you updated as this storm continues to develop both the rest of the day today and tomorrow. But as for right now, we'll see you at 11 o'clock.